Hello and welcome again to another episode of the Long Gone Loser Rock Show's Waterfront Wednesdays. Today we're going to be talking about this old classic, JELLO Biafra and D.O.A's Last Scream of the Missing Neighbours. Growing up a punk kid in the 80s and 90s, JELLO Biafra was a name everybody knew about. Like, if you're into punk music, you knew who JELLO Biafra was. Obviously, with the success of the Dead Kennedys and whatever. When I discovered the Dead Kennedys, I fell hard into them. Like, they were just so good, and the lyrics were so good, and the music was just phenomenal. Like, nobody sounded like the Dead Kennedys. Like, they were a punk band that didn't have a lot of distortion or anything crazy like that. They just had songs that were just so good. So that is what captivated me about the band, the Dead Kennedys. It was like, they've got this kind of like surf guitar sound in some songs, and then all of a sudden, these amazing lyrics over the top that really got you thinking. And when you're a impressionable young kid, you're trying to find your way in the punk scene and things like that, or just about life in general, you start reading these lyrics and going, oh wow, like, these are issues, and you're still seeing the issues at that time. Even today, you're still seeing a lot of these issues. So, you became a fan not only of the band's music, but of what they were about. Just the whole shtick, I guess you could say, even though it's not a shtick, it's something that was very real and very personal to them. But you know what I mean? Like, it's something that you could just grasp and go, wow, like, they're right. Like, this is happening. These things are still happening today, and the world needs to change for the better. So anyway, we became massive JELLO fans from there on, and the Dead Kennedys obviously were way defunct by the time this record came out. This record came out in 1989, and I didn't hear about it until I got into Spiral Objective, which must have been 1990, 1991, because Greg would order in the Alternative Tentacles stuff, and that was one of the albums that I remember seeing was this one. Now, this is the Waterfront pressing. I do have an original pressing, but it's on the shelf. We don't talk about that. We're talking about the Waterfront one, and I didn't get the Waterfront one until this week. So this is exciting. Basically, what happened is that numerous people have offered me to buy this off them over the years, and they always wanted prices that were just ridiculous for a punk record. Like, people are like, oh, I'll sell it to you for $100, or I'll sell it to you for $200, or whatever. And I'm just like, expensive punk records is an oxymoron. Like, it just seems so silly, and I was never going to throw down that kind of money on a punk record. Then I got an offer to pick one up for $30, and I was just like, yeah, I'll take that. That to me is sensible. That's a sensible price to pay for a punk record, a used punk record. They knew I was doing the book on Waterfront, and they wanted me to have it. JELLO Biafra and D.O.A. Last Scream of the Missing Neighbours on Waterfront Records. There is the Waterfront logo down the bottom there, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I love this picture on the back. Winston Smith artwork. I met Winston Smith once at Punk Rock Bowling. Lovely guy. His birthday is very close to mine, so we celebrated that. But yeah, great album cover, Last Scream of the Missing Neighbours. Now, when you hear that title, you sit there and think, like, what's all this about? Well, the lyrics, like, make so much sense. And, you get all the lyrics here inside, which is great. So you can read along, especially to Full Metal Jack-Off, which is 14 minutes long. Takes up one side of a record. So good. But yeah, we'll get to that. But there's the other side. And here is the Waterfront labels. There you go. I had a friend named Arthur in high school, and he is a mad, like, punk fan of, like, old stuff, right? And he was really into D.O.A. And I remember I borrowed some D.O.A. stuff off him. And when I was listening to D.O.A., I was going, man, this band's really, really good. So as soon as I saw that JELLO Biafra was doing a record with D.O.A., I jumped on it straight away. It's like, that's two amazing, bands, groups, artists, whatever, combined together, and this is going to be awesome. Now, the very first time I heard this record, I could not believe how good it sounded. Sonically, this sounds incredible. Like, it really does. The mixing on it and production on it is so, so good. And if you've never heard this record before, you're doing a real disservice to your ears if you've never heard this record. Just listen to it. It opens up with a track called That's Progress. And those lyrics are just amazing. It's about, eviction and, landlords hiking up rents and stuff like that. And everything being gentrified and stuff. It's an incredible song. So what a great opener. And then it kicks off into Attack of the Peacekeepers, which is another great song. What I've got to say about this record is that it sounds kind of dark, right? Musically, it sounds kind of dark. And I don't mean like, goth dark or whatever. I just mean like the music. It's hard to describe, but it sounds kind of like dark and depressing, but not like it's high energy, dark and depressing. Like, because I guess because the lyrics are so like fucking, like when you hear it, you're like fucking landlords or whatever. And that kind of like gets you angry or gets you, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to describe it. If you've heard the songs, you know what I'm talking about, I'm sure. But it has this really nice dark sound to it, which is as dark as the lyrics are relevant still to this day. Then you've got like Wish I Was in El Salvador. What a great song that is. And then you've got Power is Boring, which is such a good song. And then you've got this killer cover of We've Got to Get Out of This Place, the old Eric Bird and the Animal songs. And wow, like that's side A. And you're sitting there thinking like, how could it get any better? And then you flip the record over and put on Full Metal Jack-Off. 14 minutes long of absolute perfection. This song doesn't get boring. It's the same riff kind of over and over again. It's just the way the vocal delivery is and just like the darkness of it all. And 14 minutes go by and you're just like, holy shit, what a song. This is The Decline by NoFX, years before The Decline ever happened. And this doesn't even have that many parts. But it's just so good. Wow, like that song just blew my mind. And I just remember showing it to everybody when I was younger. And people would just be like, yep, I get it. This is awesome. What a Waterfront release. Now, this Waterfront release came out in 91, I believe. So the album came out in 89. But the Waterfront release came out in 91, I think, from memory. And like I said, I only got it this week. Took that long to get it. But, sometimes it's just harder to get these records. And, I just refuse to pay stupid amounts of money for them because I've got other things to spend money on besides high-priced records. I've got to pay rent. I've got food that needs to be bought and eaten. So, those things come first. The other thing is that if I pay a stupid amount of money for a record, I guarantee you that like a week later, I'm going to find that record in a used bin for like $5 or something. And that's happened. I didn't buy the record. I picked up a record and I was like, oh wow, this is $100. It's the cheapest I've seen it. And then I was like, but I'm never going to pay $100 for a single. And I put it down. And lo and behold, like 3 weeks later, I found the same record in a used bargain bin on the floor of a record store. And it was $10. And I was like, yoink, mine. Same pressing. Everything about it was exactly the same, but it's just like $10. I'm not going to fucking pay $100 for a record when I know this is going to happen. Well, I didn't know it was going to happen, but it always happens, Like you always buy something and later on you find it cheaper. That's just how it is. That's life. So yeah, but this album, you can't go wrong with this record. So if you find a cheap copy of it, grab it. If you can't find a cheap copy of it, don't pay stupid amounts of money for it because JELLO has already announced, Alternative Tentacles have already announced that they're reissuing this. Or it's already now up for pre-order or something like that. So just get the reissue. It's going to sound exactly the same. There's going to be no difference to it except for the fact that this one has Waterfront on the labels and the other one has Alternative Tentacles. Who cares? I only care because I'm doing the book. The music is what should matter. And this music is 10 out of 10. So there we go. That is a look at this week's Waterfront Wednesdays. JELLO Biafra and D.O.A. Wow. What a record. Like, I listened to it as soon as I got it. Like, I brought it home and chucked it on the turntable and cranked it up, man. And seriously, it still sounds as exciting and fresh and killer and awesome and holds up to any punk record that's coming out today. Like, It sounds so good. I can't stress how good this record sounds enough. They did such a magical job with mixing, mastering, the performance, the songwriting. Everything about this record is 10 out of 10. Top shelf all the way. Trust me, man. If you never heard it, like I said, jump on the streaming services and listen to it. It's, yeah, or just fucking buy it. Alternative Tentacles, up on their website now. Go buy it. Thank you so much for watching another episode of the Long Gone Loser Rock Show's Waterfront Wednesdays. I really appreciate you sticking around and watching these. Take care of yourselves, look after each other. I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.